Good morning, Dr. Ashok Banga sir, Dr. Bakim.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Good morning, VK Ahuja sir. Good morning, sir.
Request to all. Once the meeting starts, nobody should put in any messages and put all your audio on mute, please.
Sure.
Satish bhai, you are okay? Dr. Pandya?
Oh, sorry, I I did not. No, this is live on YouTube, and I actually forgot to switch on my video and speaker. That's why. Thank you, Hemant, for reminding. So, good morning, all. Welcome back to Saturday Club morning meeting. And today we have a very eminent speaker in Dr. Alok Gupta from Jaipur. He's not only a pediatrician; he's an environmentalist and a counselor, and he practices in Jaipur. His work in environmental issues is reflected in the kind of various positions that he has held or who is holding. International Pediatric Association, that is IPA, in this organization is International Environment Advocate for the year 2022 onwards. He is member Strategic Advisory Group, Environmental Health IPA 2021. He is convener Technical Advisory Group, Environment Child Health, Asia Pacific Pediatric Association, APA. In the year 2017-18. He was chairperson of the Environment and Child Health Group of IAP 2013 to 16. IAP, as you know, is Indian Academy of Pediatrics, a big organization of about more than 33,000 members across the country. And we have various chapters and group in this IAP. One of them is this Environment and Child Health Group. He was also convener of IAP Task Force on non-communicable disease in 2018, and WHO headquarters Geneva expert participant in second meeting on avoidable early environmental exposures in November 2017. He has been editor-in-chief or executive associate academic editor, co-editor, and author for several publications. And he is holding several organizational and academic positions in our organization. So with this brief introduction, I request Dr. Alok Gupta to start his talk on noise pollution. I also would like to share with local colleagues that a lot of pediatricians from across the country have joined today. So I welcome all of you to Saturday Club morning meeting, and I wish that in future these meetings also you will all participate, because there's a very heterogeneous audience that we are looking at, and we have a very mixed variety of topics that we discuss every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. So you are all welcome to join. And now I request Dr. Alok Gupta to go ahead with this talk for about 40 minutes, and we'll have some discussion for 10 minutes. Over to you, Dr. Alok.
Thank you for the kind words, Dr. Satish Bhai. And I'm honored to be here before the August and seniors people. And it is a pleasure to be here on Saturday morning. Should I start sharing my screen, sir?
Yes, please, please, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes. Well seen, well heard.
Okay, so now today I'll be talking about noise pollution and health. And Dr. Satish Bhai has already enumerated something I'm continuously doing for the environment, which has become a passion for me. And we begin our talk with a little bit about hearing. Hearing is the sense with which we perceive the sound around us. Through hearing, we engage with our environment, communicate with others, express our thoughts appropriately, and gain education. Globally, more than 1.5 billion people, that is 5% of the 8 billion population, experience some decline in their hearing capacity during their life course, of whom at least 466 million will require care. 1.5 billion is approximately the population of India. And 466 million who require care is combined population of US and Canada. So we can imagine the burden of disease we have, which is neglected. Loss of hearing, if not identified and addressed early, can have far-reaching consequences, adversely affecting language, speech, cognitive development, listening, communication, education, psychological health, earning, employment, mental health, relationships, identity issues, stigma, and quality of life. Many causes of hearing loss can be prevented, like common ear diseases, ear infections, vaccine preventable illnesses, exposure to noise, tobacco smoke, and chemicals, and these endanger the hearing of many people at different ages. National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey USA from 94 to 2006 data shows that hearing loss in teenagers increased from 3.5% to 5.3%. Personal audio devices, music use increased by 75% in nearly the same period. 50% of the 12 to 35-year-old youngsters with risky behavior of using them for 16 to 18 hours every day at high volume. We see that every day. Excessive sound at workplaces cause noise-induced hearing loss in 16% of adults. This is WHO report of 2021. Noise affects other systems of the body, but these two are totally preventable. This is very important. Mitigating such risks through public health action is essential to addressing hearing loss. These are just dramatic things. And now we come to sound. Don't make noise. This we have been hearing since we went to school. And it is correct. The loud sounds in classroom and in library meant a disturbance or an irritant to students and teachers who were studying. Well, this still holds true. Now, what is sound and when does it become a noise? Vibration from a source makes particle in that medium to quiver to and fro, moving particles around them without getting displaced themselves, causing a wave effect. These pressure waves move outward in a direction which is dependent on the source as well as the medium. When we clap in air or drop a stone in a pond with still water, the air or water particles are pressed and then decompresses by pressure, which gets transmitted ahead, causing a ripple effect. These pressure changes are felt by other objects in the vicinity. The mammalian ears, including humans, perceive this effect as sound. This sound is described and measured in various ways. The organs of hearing, the assessment of sound is done by volume. The loudness of sound depends on the quantum of pressure changes particles are subjected to or the distance moved by them. When these pressure changes are plotted on the graph, the height of the graph is proportional to the amplitude or the loudness of the sound. Decibels is relative measure of soundness, volume, or intensity of sound. In air, 10 decibel sound is the softest which human beings can hear, whereas 130 decibel become painful. Pitch of the sound is frequency of particles vibration per second. Wavelength is the gap between two vibrations or waves. The wavelength of sound is indirectly proportional to the pitch or frequency of sound. High-pitched sounds have shorter wavelengths. Humpback whales making low-pitched sounds have 100-meter distance between their calls. Now, frequency is the sound is number of sound waves passing in a fixed period. Hertz is the measure of frequency. Vibrations made by sound originator per second is hertz. At a fixed point, if 20 waves pass in 1 second, it would mean that sound is of 20 hertz. Normal human beings can hear sound between range of 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. 1000 hertz is equal to 1 kilohertz. Therefore, normal human beings can hear sounds up to 20 kilohertz only. The density of air and water is different, water being denser, and 61.5 decibels needs to be added to measure sound in water. Increase in amplitude relates to volume, whereas frequency changes is the pitch of the sound. Now, a brief about organs of hearing, which we all know, but it is always good to recapitulate. The ears are primary organs of hearing sounds produced usually outside and perceived inside the body by brain of animals and human beings. Human ear has three main parts: the outer ear, which consists of pinna, ear canal, and tympanic membrane, which transmits received sounds to middle ear. Middle ear is a small air-filled chamber inside the tympanic membrane, which three ossicles, smallest of the human bones, the malleus, incus, and stapes, are present. They transmit sound from tympanic membrane to inner ear. These three bones and muscles attached to them dampen or augment sound vibrations suitably and forward them to a highly sensitive and delicate inner ear through the oval window, a thin membrane separating the middle ear from the inner ear. The other thin membrane, the round window, helps sound waves to smoothly displace fluid in the. Just a second. I will get the point. Displace the fluid in the inner ear. The inner ear is a spiral filled tube. Cochlea is divided lengthwise by organ of corti, which are very complex and main organs of conversion of mechanical to neural signals. Highly specialized and sensitive basilar membrane, endolymph, and hair cells in the organ of corti convert high and low mechanical sound vibrations to action potentials of similar pattern and transmit them to auditory nerve and the central nervous system. This is a diagrammatic representation of the ear, which we all know. So this is the outer ear, this is the middle ear which connects to the eustachian tube, and the inner ear is here with cochlea, and the nerve goes to the brain. Sound is produced in various frequency ranging from 0 hertz and above. Human beings with normal hearing can hear frequencies which ranges from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. This range of frequency, the audible range, is known as audio frequency. Sounds less than 20 hertz are infrasonic, and those above 20,000 hertz are ultrasonic sounds. Animals other than human beings can perceive sounds of ultrasonic as well as infrasonic frequencies as per their natural requirement. Average sound levels with safe limits at common places we inhabit is given in next slide. We should remember that these are averages, and hearing loss can occur at lower sound levels as well as lesser duration in an individual. So these are common places. From in the outer space, there's a 0 sound, and we can stay there indefinitely, but I don't know which is possible. Sleeping areas like bedrooms is 20 to 30 hertz. That is safe for 16 hours. Same goes for study room and normal talk where it occurs. In a busy office, it is 80 decibels, where 8-hour duration is optimum and safe, and therefore probably we have office hours of 8 hours working. Medium traffic load is about 80 to 90, where we can stay safely for 4 to 8 hours. Construction activity increases. 100 decibels is there approximately. The safe duration decreases by 4 hours, it halves. Nightclubs, discos, the sound level is 110 to 20, and the safe duration is just 1 hour. If an airplane taking off, 140 decibels, safe duration is nil, and we are at risk. For each flight, we are at risk of hearing loss. It may be temporary or permanent. Spacecraft rocket launching time, 220 decibels. There's no safe limit. Now, when does sound become noise? Sound is referred to noise subjectively. Any undesirable sound can be labeled as noise. Technically, sound which are not pure or rhythmic are known as noise. Sound waves making a sine-shaped graph is called a pure tone. Vibrating tuning fork of a particular frequency produces a smooth waveline, and thus pure tones, pure sounds of one note. Harmonics are created by combining number of pure tones in various combinations, which form the basis of musical instruments. Impure tones are not pleasant to hear and are referred to as noise. Graph of this sound, if plotted, is random and not smooth. These unpleasant sounds are screened out by our ears to a varying extent and are very subjective. Sounds under the water to humans are messed up, jumbled sounds with unclear pure tones or patterns. Now we come to the noise and noise pollution. A sound, source of which may be visible or invisible, but is intense, inappropriate, causes irritation or disturbance, or lead to harm, or diminishes or disrupts one's quality of life, which may be temporary or permanent, is known as noise. When this sound occurs in the environment for a time or intensity, causing irreversible, temporary, or irreversible permanent adverse effect on animals or humans, it becomes a noise pollution. Now we have evidence that loud noise and its associated vibrations cause damage to monuments, architectures, buildings, and other similar non-living things too. Evidence that plants too are disturbed by noise is very disturbing. Noise adds to hearing damage caused by other factors and vice versa. Like if you have a bioacusis or a congenital or hereditary defect compromising the hearing, and in the presence of noise, it will multiply the hearing loss. The resultant loss of hearing, partial or complete, becomes a handicap for comfortable living. At birth, there are a fixed number of cochlear sensory cells, inner and outer hair cells. just like ova in the ovary. In humans and other mammalian species, these sensory cells do not regenerate once they have been damaged. This is very important that once damaged, there is no repair or regeneration if the permanent damage has occurred. Hearing loss occurs when a person cannot perceive the sound within the audible range clearly. This occurs naturally with aging, presbyocusis we call it, or due to some event like stroke or injury disrupting the hearing apparatus, outer, middle, or inner ear, auditory nerve, or specific areas in the brain. Hearing loss may be minor, where hearing of only some frequencies are lost or spread across wide range of frequencies. Tinnitus, hallucinations, etc. can occur due to complex mechanism affecting the hearing system. A person who is not able to hear as good as someone with normal hearing is said to have hearing loss. One or both ears are affected and lead to difficulty in hearing conversation or loud sounds. Hard of hearing refers to people with hearing loss ranging from mild to severe. Deaf people are mostly have profound hearing loss, which implies very little or no hearing. They often use sign language for communication. The type of hearing loss goes quickly. Is a conductive where both outer and middle ear are involved. Sensory neural hearing loss where the inner ear, auditory nerve or brain is involved. And there are some mixed type of hearing loss which involve both conductive and sensory neural hearing loss. Then range occurs from slight to profound depending upon the loss of decibels. And the etiology is hereditary congenital presbyocusis or aging, which we cannot do much about except treatment. Acquired causes are very important in this context. Most important and most of the acquired noise-induced hearing loss occurs by noise, ototoxic drugs, chemicals also, and in infections to the pregnant mother and child. Low birth weight, neonatal jaundice, birth asphyxia, trauma, stroke also lead to hearing loss. So we'll be talking on the topic which we are supposed to talk. We come to the noise-induced hearing loss. The baby's developing organs and immune systems, smaller organs and bodies make them especially vulnerable to environmental exposures, including noise exposure. Harmful exposure starts in mother's womb and even increase the risk of premature birth. Infants and preschoolers exposed to environmental hazards are at increased risk of diseases in childhood and lifelong increased risk of chronic diseases. The cochlear damage by loud sounds occur by two mechanisms. One is mechanical, where rigidity and effective functioning of sensory hair cells are lost by regular exposure to loud sounds gradually over a period till they are permanently destroyed and become non-functional. The other is cellular level intense metabolic activity, where intense exposure to loud sounds require high energy levels to protect themselves. High oxygen consumption leads to increased level of free radical generation in the cochlea. Antioxidant defense system of the ear fails to neutralize the free radicals generated and permanent cell death results. So this is the normal sensory cells, and these are the damaged sensory cells. We can notice how the damage occurs. The health hazards of noise pollution are auditory or non-auditory. In the auditory, it is tinnitus, then hidden hearing loss, and noise-induced hearing loss. In the non-auditory comes the noise annoyance and noise sensitivity, insomnia and sleep disturbance, cognitive impairment, and cardiovascular disorders. This is so important. At different ages in the intrauterine life, exposure to more than 80 decibels for more than 8 hours at a stretch leads to high frequency hearing loss, prematurity, low birth weight, birth defects. The newborn more than 45 decibels lead to damage to cilia of the cochlea, leading to hearing loss, increased blood pressure, heart rate, respiratory rate, and decreased oxygen saturation. Increased need in oxygen and energy consumption is needed, and change in behavioral and physiological responses of infants occur. There is enhanced pain perception. A child more than 70 decibels for prolonged period or sudden exposure to more than 100 decibels lead to learning disabilities, attention disabilities, and ruptured eardrum. Places of noise pollution, what we encounter are residences, educational institutes, offices, commercial and industrial areas, social, religious, public places and entertainment areas, transportation, land, air and water hubs, modes of travel. Others are war zones, combat training zones, sports arena, playgrounds, noisy neighborhoods, unruly pets, slums, call centers, telephone exchanges, etc. The domestic source, toys, PlayStations, home, kitchen, office, educational appliances, hammers, grinders, mowers, mixers, fans, air coolers, air conditioners. Entertainment, the radio, TV, music system, bands, loudspeakers, movie theaters, personal audio devices like earphones, headphones, Bluetooth appliances. Communication devices are same like cell phones, Bluetooth, etc. Transport vehicles like motorized wheelers personally used to commute, big transport vehicles such as buses, trains, airplanes, cargo transplant vehicles such as trucks, good trains, cargo planes. We are fortunate that now electrical transport, public transport and personal transports are becoming available and being used, which have literally no sound because there is no engine in it. Mechanical equipment, large machines, Land Rovers, drills, machines, and vehicles used for construction and maintenance of houses, apartments, office blocks, schools, colleges, factories, etc. Deforestation or urbanization is an indirect contributor to noise. Deforestation leads to increase in construction of houses, commercial areas, industries, roads, traffic, etc., which ultimately leads to more noise in a previously quiet area. Now, noise-induced hearing loss may be temporary or permanent. A temporary noise-induced hearing loss is a brief but very loud sound like an exploding firecracker or explosive, a jet plane landing or takeoff may lead to temporary or reversible loss in hearing. Few hours of exposure to moderately loud sounds like in a disco or a rock concert may also lead to temporary hearing loss. Wide range of frequencies are affected in such losses, and fortunately, near full recovery usually ensues within hours to weeks, depending on the intensity of exposure and damage to the hearing organs. Numbness of ears occurs in this situation. Permanent hearing loss is an irreversible hearing loss which occurs due to constant exposure to sound frequencies of more than 80 decibels or a single sudden exposure about 120 decibels. Hearing loss occurs over small or wide range of frequencies, which is difficult to predetermine. US Environment Protection Agency has labeled 70 decibels of sound as the safe upper cutoff range. Sounds above this level have decreasing safe duration. Sounds at or above 85 decibels have a safe limit of 8 hours per 24 hours only, while sound of 100 decibels has a safe limit of 15 minutes. Correspondingly, a brief sound about 120 decibel will be permanently damaging to human hearing organs instantly. There's a temporary or permanent threshold shift in the hearing. There's tinnitus, the effect of noise-induced hearing loss on predisposing factors like presbyacusis, reduced communication, social isolation, cognitive overload, impaired performance, and very important, road and safety in public places is compromised when there is a hearing loss. Coming to the health hazards of noise pollution in a little more detail, the auditory hazards are only in recent past noise and noise pollution have been identified to have adverse effects on hearing. This effect is across all spectrum of ages. Noise pollution causes three main effects on hearing: tinnitus, hidden hearing loss, which is a new term, and noise-induced hearing loss. Tinnitus is hissing, buzzing, ringing, whistling, grinding, or similar abnormal sounds that are often heard by many in one or both ears. They seem to arise close by in the surroundings, like the sound of crickets. When these sounds occur frequently or become continuous, they are known as tinnitus. Tinnitus can be very annoying and distracting, often hampering normal activities as study, meditation, prayer, work, and sleep. Origin of tinnitus has been found to be sensory neural, with two most important causes being noise pollution and aging. Most of us experience this tilchatla or kasari ringing in our ears on and off. Then there is a new terminology, hidden hearing loss, where hyperacusis, difficulty in hearing, tinnitus occurs through undetectable or which is undetectable on pure tone audiometry. There's a hearing loss, but we cannot detect on audiometry. Normal hearing is present in between 250 and 8,000 hertz range. That is the cause. Cochlear synaptopathy occurs before hair cell destruction is permanent, which then finally progresses to permanent hearing loss. Third is the noise-induced hearing loss, where very loud sound, which is sudden, may lead to perforation of eardrums or acute tympanitis due to sudden strong force of the sound waves. Gradual loss of hearing due to prolonged exposure to noise is sensory neural hearing loss. This is due to irreversible damage to the hearing organs of the inner ear, the auditory nerve, and or the nervous tissues in the central nervous system. In USA, 12.5 children aged 6 to 19 years have permanent hearing loss of varying degrees due to increased noise exposure. So we can imagine what is happening in India. WHO estimates that 1.1 billion young people worldwide could be at risk of hearing loss due to unsafe listening practices. Nearly 50% of the 12 to 35-year-old youngsters in middle and high income countries are exposed to unsafe levels of sound from personal audio devices. This is very important. 40% of them are exposed to potentially damaging sound levels at clubs, discos, and bars. In recreational settings, unsafe sound levels are present in nightclubs, discos, pubs, bars, cinemas, concerts, live sporting events, and even fitness classes. Recreational devices such as personal music players and video game console that emit sounds are commonly operated at unsafe volumes. Hearing can be damaged by regular participation in these loud activities. There has been threat to hearing loss due to recreational exposure to noise, which is now proven. Personal audio devices are not now proven cause of noise-induced hearing loss. Output regulation for pads vary from country to country and not followed strictly. Commonly used pads have an output range which ranges from 75 to 136 decibels. Volume set by users in this device commonly ranges from 75 to 105 decibels. 50% of young children and adults, including adolescents, use pad constantly or at high volumes. When this habit of routine use of pad persists for some years, high frequency hearing, 4 kilohertz level, starts getting affected. With time, the higher and lower frequencies start getting affected, leading to permanent, irreversible sensory neural hearing loss. This noise-induced hearing loss gets worse with age, as aging and other causes of hearing loss pitch in. In a USA study, we have already talked about that. The ambient noise is not blocked out by low quality earbuds. Music by tiny speakers is directed right into the ear canal. Bass transmission is poor by earbuds. Users keep increasing the volume for better sound effect. Better space buffering between the ear canal and music is provided by outside the canal headphones, but they too do not transmit bass effectively, being of poor quality. Compromised road safety, reduced social communication, cognitive overload, and improved performance is seen. Air block, ear numbness, wax accumulation, otitis, sinusitis, and non-induced hearing loss are attributed to constant use of personal audio devices. What about children and headphones? The WHO advice says it best. You should make sure that your children avoid the use of headphones when possible. Use only headphones that provide information about the risk of hearing loss. Parents should also ensure that their children do not increase the volume when they are not supervised. Some devices may be equipped by parental control that allows parents to control the loudness levels of the device. Two types of headphones are available which help block out the ambient noise and protect your hearing and allowing you to hear your music at safe level. One is noise cancelling headphones, which use inverse waves to cancel out incoming low frequency sounds like hum of an engine or rumble of a traffic, but not the higher frequency sounds like the sound of conversation. The second is the noise isolating headphones. They create a seal around the ear and form a physical barrier between ear and the outside noise. The safe sound levels, we have already discussed this. 20 decibels is safe for 25 hours, 85 decibels for 8 hours, 90 decibels, 2 hours, 30 minutes, and so on. As the sound level increases, the safe limit decreases. At 120 decibel, it is only 9 seconds. Expensive noise cancelling or noise isolating headphones may not be affordable to all. Listening to at a maximum of 85 decibels for less than 8 hours a day is preferred. Smartphone decibel meter apps are available to measure noise levels. 60-60 rule is a good rule where listening to music for less than 60 minutes at a time for less than 60% of your device's maximum volume. WHO says that don't listen to headphones on the days you wish to attend the concert or an outdoor event. Now we come to the non-auditory hazards which we are not aware of. Environmental noise pollution is any sound occurring in the habitat for the time or the intensity, causing temporary, reversible or permanent, irreversible adverse effects on animals or humans. All animals are affected by sound. Unpleasant sound causes them to move away from the source, become irritable, aggressive, or some abnormal behavior. They may lose concentration and get hurt or resort to becoming quieter or louder themselves. Noise has varied effect on human beings. Mental as well as physical health has been proved to be adversely affected. Psychomotor effects of noise pollution are well established. Noise affects the human beings in following ways. First is the noise allowance and noise sensitivity. Second is sleep disturbance and insomnia. Third is cognitive impairment. Fourth is cardiovascular disorders. Coming to noise annoyance and noise sensitivity, a wrong sound at a wrong time, at a wrong place, or of a wrong intensity is annoying to all. Sounds of an airplane taking off or landing is expected at an airport, a train at train station, large trucks on a highway, loud music in a disco or a concert, roaring cars and motorbikes on a racetrack, machine sounds in a factory. But if we hear these sounds in home, classroom, or a quiet workplace, they become annoying and we become sensitive to it. If it happens, it will be annoying, leading to negative responses like loss of concentration, communication difficulties, inadvertent raising of voice to be heard properly, mood and behavior disturbances, withdrawal, depression, distraction, dissatisfaction, disappointment, irritability, changes in body languages, anger, and even antisocial or unsocial behavior. When these noises occur in increasing frequency or regularities, the effect will correspondingly increase. These effects in turn will start reflecting in normal physiology of individuals, ranging from newborn, infants, children, adolescent, adults, pregnant women, and elderly. Effect on the pregnant women will affect the developing fetus, which is important. Hence, the entire range of population will be affected, including the entire animal kingdom and possibly the plants and heritage structures. Noise annoyance causes loss of more than 0.5 million disability adjusted life years among the urban population in European region countries alone. We can imagine what is happening in our country. The effect is more established and pronounced in those with noise sensitivity and other personality traits like neuroticism. Then second is sleep disturbance and insomnia, which is very important. The effect of noise during sleep is dependent on stage of sleep and occurrence of awakening. Chronic effects of nocturnal environment noise on health are seen because of HPA axis and sympathetic nervous system suppression and release of anabolic growth hormones get affected by sleep disturbance and arousal. Insomnia and sleep deprivation affects the immune system, appetite, and carbohydrate metabolism. Hormonal imbalance between ghrelin, insulin, and leptin occurs, leading to adiposity, increased BMI, and risk of type 2 diabetes. Cognitive impairment occurs when sleep deprivation and annoyance, it will lead to cognitive impairment of varying proportions. Blood pressure, heart rate, cardiovascular events are similarly affected depending on the personality traits. Systemic inflammation is increased as reflected by increase in CRP, TNF-A, and IL-6 levels, and are caused of increased morbidity and mortality. Now we have to recognize this hazard. Recommendation of newborn hearing tests soon after birth are well in place. This detects the hearing ability in the newborn for the congenital and hereditary causes. After this, the hearing in human being is not tested till after some loss is suspected by a parent or a teacher for child's lack of attention, poor school performance, or delayed development. Older children and adolescents may directly or indirectly indicate hearing issues by selective use of better ear, using louder sound volumes, or inability to hear as well as other siblings or peers. Unfortunately, by this time, as it is with vision, the hearing loss becomes permanent, which can only increase with time. Effects of moderate sounds are cumulative in nature, as well as other factors damaging the cochlear structures, including aging process, which adds to gradual loss of hearing. Noise pollution, though omnipresent, unfortunately happens to be an area which is neglected totally. It is only now that noise pollution has been identified as a hazard to health and has found an established place as a distinct entity in environmental pollution. Silent zones and no horn zones in India are still signs which can be seen placed in schools, hospitals, and VIP areas. Loud music and use of loudspeakers are banned during night hours, but only in bigger cities, and action is taken by local authorities when a complaint is lodged by affected people. Surprisingly, all noisy and heavy vehicles can run during these night hours. Fortunately, the learned people, including the children, have started to recognize the value of silence during the resting hours, and concerns are being raised. Last Wednesday of April every year is now observed International Noise Awareness Day and No Horn Day by concentrated efforts of Center of Hearing and Communication, USA, since the year 1996. This is regularly happening in one place in India, Chandigarh. Concerned public and professional bodies discuss deafness, noise-induced hearing loss, related issues on this day to increase the public awareness about the hazards of noise and is being totally avoidable source of pollution. Central Pollution Control Board has a schedule which has sound as an important source of pollution, noise pollution. It has got several categories: industrial area, commercial area, residential area, silence zone, and a daytime and a nighttime limitation in decibels which are allowed. Daytime means 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Nighttime shall mean 10 to 6 p.m. Silence zone is an area comprising not less than 100 meters around hospital, education institutes, courts, religious places, any other area which is declared as such by competent authority. Mixed category of areas may be declared as one of the 4 above mentioned categories by competent authorities. Same is happening in WHO European guidelines, where average daily exposure, night exposure, and have become legalized. Now we come to the diagnosis of noise-induced hearing loss. Tinnitus or difficulty in hearing in one or both of the ears is presenting complaint. Onset may be sudden or gradually increasing difficulty in hearing conversation in a party, meeting, noisy workplace or crowd. Thorough examination of the ear, tuning fork tests, and audiometry will be needed to confirm hearing loss and its extent. Appropriate audiometry tests are chosen, taking age and other possible factors into consideration. Tests used may be pure tone audiometry, autoacoustic emissions, auditory brainstem responses, brainstem auditory evoked responses, or behavior audiometry evaluation. Reversal or treatment of noise-induced hearing loss by medical or surgical intervention is not possible as of now. Research in future may help. Stem cells and gene therapy, neurotropins, and pharmacological agents may come to rescue and improve quality of life in future, but not at present. Now, what do we do in where acute noise-induced hearing loss occurs? The person should be shifted to a quiet room immediately. Antioxidants and hyperbaric oxygen can help in limiting the damage. Exposure to loud sounds in future must be avoided to protect cochlear structures. Earbuds and ear muffs to be used for protection of hearing in noisy places. When used singly or together, 15 to 30 decibels and 25 to 45 decibel sound reduction is achieved respectively, which is very good. So use of earbuds and ear muffs can help if they are not connected to a sound system to prevent damage to the hearing. Chronic non-induced, noise-induced hearing loss, where hearing protection and exposure to loud sound must be avoided strictly to prevent further hearing loss. Hearing aids, cochlear implants, bone conduction and middle ear implants, sign languages, speech reading, and other rehabilitative technology can be helpful as per individual requirement. So this is how a cochlear implant works. There's a microphone and a speech processor. The external transmitter is fixed on the posterior scalp. There is an internal receiver and the wire is attached to the cochlea.
Dr. Gupta, can we, sorry to interrupt, can we sum up in a couple of minutes so that we can take up some comments and questions?
Sure. 3 minutes?
Then we'll be left with very little time for discussion. We usually close by 9 or 5 minutes past 9. So
okay, so
something important you can.
Public education, the central pollution should choose a few focus areas of concern like loudspeakers in public places. Campaigns, public is usually not aware of such laws. Roadside hoardings, complaints can be lodged. Hearing surveillance at birth, school, elderly and at-risk population is key to early identification and hearing. Here, WHO Pro is a smartphone app which is free, can be used as a screening tool by healthcare workers. Conclusion, the environmental noise pollution is a serious health issue which is now drawing increased attention. It is the leading cause of temporary as well as permanent loss of hearing in all age groups, starting from intrauterine life. Non-auditory effect of environmental noise pollution are alarming. Sleep disturbance is a major cause of nocturnal environmental noise, which in turn lead to metabolic, endocrinal, cardiac, psychiatric, developmental delay, antisocial behavior in children as well as adults. Biological effects akin to endogenous sleep disorders result in altered sleep pattern, sleep quality, and stress. These effects affect daytime sleepiness, mood changes, annoyance, irritability, nervousness, tiredness, impaired decision taking normally as well as in emergency situation, cognitive performance, and decreased well-being the following day. These effects occurring daily can be disastrous to individuals as well as public at large, depending on the occupation of the individual. Awareness, public health measures, and counseling can prevent and help and treat these concerns is needed. Normal hearing as well as adequate sleep are essential for normal functioning. Environmental noise pollution as well as nocturnal noise environmental noise is needed to address and adequate measures be taken to prevent adverse effects caused by them. Unwanted and undesired sounds of low or high intensity become noise when the adverse auditory nerve and directly affects other system. It is very common but preventable. Avoid noise. Noise-induced hearing loss is unreversible and permanent. Public awareness is needed. So these are certain signs which can be put. Legislation can be made. These are some agencies which are monitoring sound this. And then we have to decide what parents, teachers, pediatricians, managers, manufacturers, government can do. But what most important is we have to protect ourselves and our family and colleague and our patients. We should make listening safe. Early identification of hearing loss is very important. And here WHO is an app which can be used by all individuals to screen their hearing, which is very good. Here, WHO Pro is for healthcare workers. And even that iPhone, I see that sounds and haptics, if we go, and we go to the headphone safety, we have a headphone notification. Last month, my shows it is 0. I have not crossed my limits. Reduce loud sounds, we can set the maximum sound I have set it at 85 decibels. And your headphone can analyze headphone audio and reduce sounds that are over the set decibel. Any Bluetooth connected to this phone will automatically control the headphones. There's a detail, if we go to the details, there is a good article inside the iPhone. So that was it. And the greatest gift you can give someone is your time. Because when you decide your time, you are offering dedicate your time, you are offering a part of your life that you will never get back. I thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Dr. Alok Gupta. That was excellent. So much information in a little time that you were given, about 40-45 minutes. I understand that it's difficult to cover such a huge topic in such a short time. But anyway, the talk was very informative. And I think we should go through some of the questions and comments in the chat box. A lot of compliments to you from our colleagues regarding excellent talk. Dr. Jagdish has asked, are headphones that use bone sound transmission better than air conduction?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they directly prevent damage to the tympanic membrane. but the quality of sound is compromised, and then the teenagers who listen to music, as I mentioned, the bass is not very good, and they tend to increase the volume, and then the volume goes and hits the tympanic membrane and gets amplified.
Then there was comment from Dr. Meeta, I think, our physiotherapist, that we need to reduce sound in our workplace, especially my department, that is physiotherapy. And similarly, Dr. Ashok Banga has also commented that we as pediatricians also face noise hazard because of the crying in children. So any suggestions for that? I would believe that no, we must make our workplace as child-friendly as possible. That is, reduce the crying. We can debate on this for a long time, but any comments from you, Dr. Alok Gupta?
Most important is we should monitor the sound levels in the NICU and PICU, where the beeping of the machines is constantly there and loud conversation happens. That is one place we should occur. Hospital areas,
5 minutes webinar.
Places where we can. And of course, we have those earbuds and plastic buds. If we can carry them in our pocket, when there is a excess sound which we cannot avoid, we can use those earbuds to ward off the loud sounds. That is for personal protection. And wherever in workplace there is loud sound, we can advise it to others to use it. But in hospital areas, in wards, NICUs, it is very important that we reduce the sound because children are not prepared for loud sounds.
Right. Then there's a question, comment on using headphone or AirPods during webinar all these years. Any take on this? I think you answered partly this question. Any comment on this?
No, we should avoid the headphones as much as possible.
Then there is a question from Sejal sir, to prevent all these health hazards, the artificial biological interface used between instrument and ear or available commercial?
I'm not aware of that.
Right.
I'm not aware of that. But speakerphone is much safer, and the computer audio is much safer than using the headphones or the earphones.
Dr. Hemant Sant, who is also an activist in Baroda, has commented that outdoor AC unit disturb restful sleep of neighbors. 3M earbuds only answer. Our gardens too have noise loudspeakers, apart from religious use of loudspeakers, DJ in processions.
Yes, we should collectively take actions on this. And if there is it is a troubling noise beyond the daytime, in the night time, we can complain to the police and they definitely take action.
Dr. Ramesh Bajania, who is currently the chairperson of Environment, Health and Child Group of IAP, has also commented on our pedicones that our own pedicones are so noisy. We should start implementing measures to curb it in every area. And Dr. Bajania, I already read your guidelines for our waste zone pedicone. Let us see how it turns out to be. Ceiling fans from metal to acrylic or other materials. Dr. Sisalam Kotoru has commented.
Yes, we can compare, and whatever has the least sound, we can use it.
Then Manoj Kumar identified this problem in 70s and produced movie. Sure, such sensitization needs in media. Okay, such sensitization needed in media. So there are some comments about conferences being very noisy with a lot of music played during banquets and all that. And Dr. Narendra Goyal, Dr. Narendra, can you just
good morning, sir.
Something?
Good morning, sir. Dr. Narendra, I'm a pediatrician from Ghaziabad. My query is, sir, all these kind of noise pollutions that we're talking about are generally less than 100, 120. But there are marriage processions and banquet halls nearby our homes many a times, which causes sound noise pollution of 200, even 200 decibels, which actually shakes you up totally and rattles your home. So do we have any place to complain, any rules, regulations from government where we can complain about these things? Because these are the ones which are real health hazards actually.
Yes, I know, but see, in the daytime, if it occurs, they are allowed by the central.
There should be a limit also in daytime also, sir.
Yes, so we have to, till there is a legislation, we have to use earbuds to.
Those kinds of marriage position with pressure, I know, I hope you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Pressure
that-
speakers, they actually rattles your windows.
Yes, it
Your
shakes.
heart
the
starts
heart,
thumping on that.
even the heartbeats become irregular.
Yes, sir. Yes, those are real hazards.
So it is a real annoyance and a health hazard. I agree completely with you. And let us hope, because this is present only in India. Well,
Yes.
abroad, there is not. In Arab countries, also it is present where in a procession, they put on the horn continuously instead of music. So
Horns on the road as well.
on the roads, when the procession, marriage procession happens, all the drivers will just put on the hand on the horn, and continuous loud noise is there.
Mm.
So we need more Dr. Alok Guptas to impact the government policymakers
But I-
to bring in noise swachhata, as we are not talking about swachhata as in general. I think noise swachhata is also needed. So friends, we have to end this meeting because usually we end at 9 o'clock. It's already 7 minutes past 9. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Alok Gupta, for highlighting. It was an eye opener for all of us because we do not read or hear much about this noise pollution. So it was very interesting and informative. Thank you very much. And we'll call you again sometime later for some other topic on environment. So thank you all for joining. We meet again next Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you all of you for giving me the opportunity to raise this issue, which is a hidden hazard.